Welcome back to another episode of KSP 101. This is episode 20. It's going to be a very short and quick episode where we are going to begin constructing the colony module that we are going to be sending to Eve. It's going to be a permanent residence for the Kerbals that we are sending there, where it's not calling for us to return the Kerbals just yet. And we have about 25 to 30 minutes to do this. So let's go on ahead. We are going to start by finding out what we're going to be using for the living space. And we may be sending future accommodations to them, or they might just be retiring there as we move on to do other things in the Eve system and continue out to the other systems beyond Eve. It all depends on the contracts. But we will start by grabbing a remote guidance unit, setting it to heaviest part, and then we will attach the living space, which right now looks like it's going to be this hab down here, the hitchhiker storage container, which we will attach once we get our structural parts. This adapter is not necessary, so let's go on down to this one, set it right here, and auto start it to grandparent part, and then we'll place this there. But we also want to put a reaction control wheel about there, set to heaviest part, and then we're going to put a power bank, the new one, in between that and the remote guidance unit there, set to grandparent part. And then we need to go down to our utilities. Let's go ahead and put 4 of these illuminators, 1, 2, 3 spaces over from the center at radial 4. And we will move those in just a wee bit, like so. Alright, and let's see if there's anything else we need to add just yet. Don't believe so. We'll come back to that. We'll also come back to the cargo and the science. For now, let's grab 2 of these Communitron. What are they? The 88 by 88s. Let's grab a couple of those. Put them about there. Let's see what that looks like when we extend them. I think that'll be okay. Let's go ahead and retract those now. I don't know where that one came from. Let's get rid of it. Okay, and that should be enough for the communications for transmitting the science once we're down there. Any science that we may be gaining, at least. Let's grab some of these photovoltaic panels. We'll place them 1, 2 over. Nope, we're not going to place them there. We'll place them, let's say, I guess we're going to have to place them on the hab. So we'll go 3 spaces over from the center. 1, 2, 3. Place that there, radial 4. Set them to auto strut at the grandparent part setting. Let's grab some onboard photovoltaic panels, which we will place radial 2 here, radial 2 there. Let's go back to this side, move it over 1, 2 spaces. I guess radial 2 here. We can just do radial 4, I suppose. Let's get rid of that then. We'll set these to radial 4. Update those at radial 4. That'll be fine. So that will take care of some of our power needs. We do need more power in this though, so we'll take these batteries. We'll set them to radial 4. Why not? The more power the better. To that hitchhiker storage container. That should take care of all of our power needs. What else are we going to need though? We are going to need some landing gear. I do not believe there is going to be anything else we're putting on the bottom of this, so let's go ahead and grab these L2 or LT2 landing struts, the larger ones, or the largest ones that we have actually. We'll set those to radial 4, try to push them as far over as possible there. And another set of radial 4s as far over as possible to make them look nice and clean there. That should be enough landing gear to land this thing. We'll deploy those shielded, retract those, deploy these shielded and retract those. That'll be good. Now let's move on to our cargo. We'll need 2 of these, and we'll place those to, say, about here at radial 2. Actually, let's put those closer to the bottom, say about there at radial 2. Then we will set those to grandparent part and then move them into the vessel as close as possible, and then pop them back out once. So they're still popping back out and they are accessible. Let's open this one, grab a Communitron and a control station, and since we are taking an engineer, we'll put that photovoltaic panel there. That should be enough to power both of those. Let's go to this one. We are going to need this for our contract, the GUEB monitor. And we can take a weather analyzer. Let's place another set of photovoltaic panels in there. And in fact, we may just go ahead and set this to radial 3, actually. So let's grab that, put it here, set it to radial 3. Let's reopen these to make sure. Okay, so they all have the same thing in them now. Let's get rid of these first, and then get rid of the ones in here as well. We'll keep the panels that copied over. Let's just check this one. Okay, it has the GUEB and the weather analyzer. Let's go ahead and move those back in again, like so. Looking good. Should not be conflicting with anything. Alright, now we need to put that Communitron back in this one, as well as the control station. Now we have enough room for some auxiliary stuff, just in case. We will put another solar panel in there, and I believe that's all we're going to take with us. So we'll just put one more of those in, just to have as a backup. That will be all we need on our cargo. We need to absolutely make sure that those are set to grandparent part before we move on. Let's grab some science now. We're going to be doing this at radial 4. Let's see, 1, 2... Okay, we'll put this one here. Set it to radial 1. I don't know why I said radial 4. My apologies. We'll put this one over top of that panel. We'll put the gravity reader over here, and then our barometric reader over top of this one. Now let's grab an atmospheric fluid spectrovariometer and place it below that. And then we'll grab some mystery goo, and let's check both sides before we place it. Very good. We'll put that radial 2 about there. In fact, instead, let's just lower it down to about here. That way there's more weight towards the bottom. Is there any more science we want to add to this before we move on, though? I do not believe so. But since while we're at it, let's place one of these science juniors up here and auto strut that to grandparent part. Now this thing is fairly well prepared and scienced out, decked out, to become our first HAB unit on Eve. Let's check the time. We've got about 15-20 minutes left. Don't think there's anything else we need to add to this lander. Let's check it out. Anti-crew cabin, missing ladder, that's right. Let's deploy these landing legs and check out where we need to place these ladders. Let's grab the Kellis LV Bay mobility enhancers. Let's close that window for this landing leg. Well, we can't yet, okay. We'll just place these here at radial 2 and then extend them and see what they look like compared to the landing legs. Should have plenty of space there for that. That'll be fine. And let's grab some of these. We'll place these radial 2 just for the sake of symmetry. Make sure that the bottom is lined up there. Then we'll place 2 more lined up about like that. We'll place 2 more. I guess that's going to be good enough. They should be able to reach that Science Junior that way. But we'll test it before we're done here. But we are going to go to the move tool. And we're going to move both of those in one space, like so. They should still be usable even on Eve. Let's save our craft for now. And let's close these. We do need to then add some parachutes, and I think that'll be the last of that. Let's put 2 of the larger ones set to radial 2 here. That should be fine. We can put 2 more over here on this side. And we'll set those to auto strut to grandparent part. And then we will copy those and set 2 more at about the same spot to radial 2 here. And then we will break out the drogue chutes to place around each and every one of those. So you radial 2 some drogues here. Copy that. And those will interfere if we place them there. So we'll just place them here at radial. Copy that, keep it at radial 2 and place those over here on this side. Make sure that that looks good. Looks okay to me. Now just for the sake of safety as well, we will put them radial 2 here. Move them over a few spaces and then radial 4 there. Let's make sure then that we set all these to grandparent part. We'll do the drogues first, so we're keeping track of things properly. Got 2 more drogues to go. And that'll be the last of the drogues. Let's set these to grandparent part, or make sure they all are. Okay, those are looking good. Now, I believe that should be enough to land this, but we'll find out when we test it. Do we need to add anything else? We don't need to, I don't believe. Don't need any more utility, cargo, science, communication, electrical. We just need to add one of those here shortly. Let's go ahead and make sure that we have a reaction control wheel on this vessel. Oh yeah, we already have the large one, so that's good. We can go ahead and add some more drogues up here with the Science Junior. Put these as close to the top as possible, set it to radial 2. Auto strut those to grandparent part, and then grab some of the larger ones. Radial 2, set those to grandparent part. And then let's put a docking port up at the top, just in case anything might happen. We'll go to the decoupler menu, grab the docking port, and place it right on top of that Science Junior. Should anything happen and we need to rescue this en route, and then we will have to manually strut these. Let's go with maybe radial 8 perhaps. Looks good. Let's put the struts up to about there, and then we'll put another set of radial 8 struts, if it cooperates, about here. And we'll also have to go back and reset the other ones that did not connect for some reason. The struts should not be in the way of anything, but we'll check. Looks fine. Let's go ahead and save the craft again. Well, we're saving it as an untitled spacecraft, but we'll change that. Now, I believe that's all we need specifically for the colony vessel itself. So, let's go ahead and put that TD25 decoupler down here at the bottom of the vessel, and auto strut that to grandparent part. And for the sake of control, we are going to stick another reaction control wheel there. Set at the heaviest part. And then we will put the heat shield on there. Auto strut it to grandparent part. And then we will put the TD25 decoupler under that. That'll put us at 9.8 tons. That's not too bad. Let's check our staging now. We want that to go off, then we can inflate the heat shield. We need to separate the drogues from the main chutes. The main chutes will be easier to grab since there are only, I believe, 8 of those. We'll drag these two down here. Let's find the other mains now. Let's see, drogues. Okay, so there's another set of mains. These should also be another set of mains, and then we have one more set left. And then we'll take all of those mains. Make sure that those are mains. Make sure all of these are drogues. Groovy. We will place those above the drogues. And that's our staging properly now. This is a Eve Hab colony, so we'll put Eve Hab colony module -1 for its designation. Let's save it. Let's go back to OpenCraft and get rid of that untitled spacecraft. We don't like those here at Terra Aerospace. Now it's time to test this thing real quick before we end this episode, and then in the next episode we will be building the transfer vessel for this and sending it to Eve. So at 9.8 tons, let's go ahead and, this is only testing it, so we'll go down here to our Rockomax, stick a tiny one on it, set it the grandparent part, and go to our engines, and let's place anything that can push 143 kilonewtons plus its own weight. That'll work. It'll be able to push 240. It's very economic. We'll set that to root part. It'll go off, then decouple, heat shield, chutes, get rid of the heat shield, land. That'll be for the test. So let's get our Kerbals that are going to be making this mission happen. We'll use those 3, we'll leave 1 empty seat. We don't want to push our luck and use too many Kerbals and strand them. So now let's, should have enough to be able to launch from the moon and make it home, I would say. So we'll do that. Maybe. How much time do we have? 5 minutes? Okay, we'll just do it from the launch pad and test it the good old-fashioned way. And after this test is over, we will conclude this very short episode with our new Hab unit there ready to land. We just need to build the transfer vessel for it, and then take it to Eve and land it in the next episode to knock out all but one of the current active contracts, which is the building a station around Eve. Right now that can hold 4. We could add a little more space onto it instead of having to send 2 things to build a station around it, but we do need to dock, rendezvous, and transfer between 2 vessels in orbit of Eve still, so we'll just wait and do that. For now, let's test this real fast. It's going to have to test on land, so Let's make sure to point this where it's going to land on the surface. Let's go this way a little bit. That should be a somewhat decent trajectory. Let's make sure to keep it at a nice angle, a 90-degree angle. That way it doesn't fall back too quickly. You can rotate it if necessary. Once it's out of fuel, we will eject that. Lock prograde. Hopefully it will allow us to still. Very good. Let's deploy this. And then deploy our parachutes. Wait for those to deploy. Once they do, we'll deploy the others. And once those deploy, we'll cut our warp off. And jettison this heat shield with the decoupler. Let that fall to the ground and explode. 6.3 meters, that'll be very nice and smooth for Eve, hopefully controllable. It'll be like 3, maybe 2 meters per second. Might be a little hard to control, but if we turn the SAS off, our mass is still down below us, so it should not shift us around too much on Eve. Let's relock. You can actually just lock radio out to stay pointing up towards the sky. Let's make sure all that is destroyed. Looks like there's still something down there that might get in the way. We'll find out. It's time to deploy the landing gear and drift our way down to the surface real quick to end this swiftly. Testing this. Got about 2 to 5 minutes left or so. Once we get close enough to the surface, I'm going to cut this off. Let it drift on down nice and smoothly, like so. It's nice and smooth, I'd say. Let's deactivate our SAS, turn the brakes on. And the power should be fine, the communitrons. Let's go ahead and deploy one of them, make sure it looks good. Okay, we're gonna have to move those a little bit, but other than that, it should be fine. Let's go ahead and detract our landing gear. Looks like we lost one of our legs, I think, once we did that, but we are at an angle, that might be why. I can redeploy them, see what happens. I think they'll be strong enough for Eve. If they're not, the worst thing that happens is we lose a couple of them, and then our hab looks like this. We just need to make sure to move those communitrons, and that's it. And it's ready to go. Where was that debris? Is that really all the debris that landed? Okay, we'll just revert this back to the vehicle assembly. So move those communitrons, and then we'll call this one a quit. So I can get ready to go run these errands and do some cleaning, dinner, all that good stuff. We'll be back with another episode or 2 or 3 or 4 tomorrow. But for now, let's get rid of this. Go up here, extend these communitrons, and then we will move them based on that, whatever's necessary. Move those up closer. So we'll put them at the edge and then move them down like that. Which you can do by holding the left and right shoulder button, then using the D-pad up and down. We also need to make sure it's set to radial 2. Looking good. And those cannot be auto-strutted, so you don't have to worry about that. Alright, so there's our vessel. Looking fine, ready to go. Or there's our hab module, I should say. So that's ready to go. We just need to build the transfer stage, which, since I think I still have a little bit of time, I'm going to go ahead and attempt to do now. And that's right, we do have the new docking ports, so grab the new docking port and place it on top instead. And we'll set that to auto strut to grandparent part. Now it's ready. And building the transfer vessel should not take too long, hopefully. Let's just go ahead and do that. Try to knock it out as quick as possible. Set one of these here, heaviest part. We'll make this a nice solid Wolfhound stage. We'll see how much the Rockomax 32 does on the weight. I think we can stand to put one of the smaller ones on again still. Set it to grandparent, break out that Wolfhound. 35.095, that should be good. We'll set that to root. Let's break out a decoupler for that, the TD25, set it to grandparent part. And let's get one more of these reaction control wheels, place it here, set it to heaviest. And we'll go get more of these Rockomax tanks. We'll start with a 16, and we will place a 8 below that, set those to grandparent part. And again, if this cuts off abruptly, it's because I got the phone call that I've been waiting for, and it'll be time for me to leave, and I apologize in advance. Looks like we can still put more on here, so let's take those off and grab another one of these larger Rockomax tanks. See what that does for us. Place it here. Okay, well, let's go ahead and put this back on. We'll remove the bottom, and then take this one away and put the bottom back on. That should be better. 60 tons, almost 61, that's good. Make sure that's grandparent, make sure this is grandparent, make sure the engine is set to root. Alright. Then we'll place another TD25 decoupler under that. Make sure to set it to grandparent part. And then we will break out 2 of these, place the first one, set it to root. Grab another one, set it to heaviest. Grab the jumbo Rockomax tank after that. We're building this one for a mainsail. Auto strut it to grandparent part. Put one of the mid-sized Rockomax 16s down here. Auto strut it to grandparent. Grab the smallest Rockomax for under it, set it to grandparent, and then we'll grab the mainsail. Once we have that, we'll set it to root.